All right, we're going to get going. Hi, this is Daniel Rizak, and welcome to Illinois Drone Challenge, the Illinois Drone Challenge Community Call. I'm going to show my face here in just a minute, but if you need a couple things before you get started, and I would highly recommend you join the Facebook group. I give you a short link right there. We're going to share all resources in the Facebook group. And then if you want to view this presentation, you can go to tinyurl.com/Illinois drones. And then you can catch up on that later. But I will try to make sure we dump everything into that Facebook group for questions and answers afterwards. But we're going to get going. And let me go ahead and just for a moment, just unshare my screen for a second. Here I am, Daniel Rizak. I am sharing the Hangout right now with Greg Novosad. Greg, are you there?
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Greg is there. He doesn't have his camera on right now, but that's okay. But let me go ahead and just kind of get started. I'm going to disappear again. So I kind of get you through a couple of things. We're going to talk about kind of the idea, kind of how this started. We're going to talk about the goals of an Illinois Drone Racing League or in teams, and we're going to talk about equipment and where you might be able to get that, how much it might cost, and events. What do drone racing events look like? So I'm going to get moving here and share my screen once more. If I can find, I got a million windows open right now, but let's go ahead and share that screen. So again, all communication materials, join that group at those links. And there is, let me go ahead and get over here. There we go. All right. So, join Drone Challenge teams. Who we are, I'm Daniel Rizak. I'm the STEAM coordinator and also the director of academic technology at Quest Academy in Palatine. I am also a member and organizer for the Illinois Computing Educators, and I'm working with them on some maker stuff this year, the Tinker Studio feature of the Illinois Computing Educators. I'm also the lead organizer for Palatine Mini Maker Fair, and also many other things, but those are probably the three biggest things right now. Greg, why don't you tell them who you are?
Yeah, I'm Greg Novosad from Go Drone X. We run competitions and education for drone. We do corporate events. We just got doing the hey Dan, real quick, I'm getting an echo on your end, I think.
No.
I think you've got your YouTube volume maybe turned up on one of your background screens.
Actually, I have all my YouTube videos muted.
Okay.
But you might have one muted on your end. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I have all my YouTube videos. Yes, you have I can tell you have the window open somewhere. Just close it.
Okay, then I can't see chat. Okay, that's no problem.
But Greg, I met Greg in at Palatine Mini Maker Fair. We, at the last moment, Greg was very close. We were looking for a drone organization, and we found one just a week before Palatine Mini Maker Fair, and we found that they were doing a lot of great stuff in the area with young men and women racing drones, and it's just really cool. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But again, if you haven't had these two links, Facebook group at tinyurl.com/drone teams and tinyurl.com/Illinois drones to view this presentation. So the agenda for this hangout, we want to talk about the idea, go over the goals, the equipment, the events, and then we want to talk about creating a schedule and how we're going to continue to communicate. So let me go ahead and just talk to you a little bit about the Maker Fair. When we did do the Maker Fair, I have to say the drone portion ended up being one of the most popular portions of the Maker Faire. It really ended up being just an amazing time. And the drone, I think half of our audience ended up flocking over to the drones, and our kids ended up really getting excited about drones. So, this is a little background footage of what happened in our soccer field, but basically they turned this entire soccer field into a drone course. And the more I learned about what was going on here, the more I realized how much this whole thing involved STEM and STEAM. And I saw kids fixing, sorry if that keeps happening, but I saw kids fixing drones. I saw kids fixing their blades. I saw them coming with equipment and using soldering irons, and it was really awesome. It was using all the things that I use in our Maker Lab here at Quest and incorporating into a sport, and it was just so much fun. So I thought there's got to be a little bit more going on. And if you've noticed lately, drone racing is becoming very popular. I did a little search for the headlines lately. I know ESPN's got a new televised thing happening this Sunday, I think it starts. And it's also, they're talking about drone racing at the next Olympics, and it's so I know you should check out ESPN or ESPN2 this next month, because the Drone League Championships or something are happening. So that's exciting. And again, the biggest deal for me was that it's a STEAM sport, that kids are not just learning how to race, but they have to fix on the fly, they have to solder, they have to glue, they have to, and in some cases program. We're programming drones as well, using Tinker and Parrot drones, and it's been that's been a nice addition. These are some educators. We shared this at EdCamp last year, a couple weeks ago at EdCamp Illinois, getting a taste of drone racing. And then some of my kids, every Thursday we have drone practice, and that's been a lot of fun. So putting all those things together, I talked with Greg and I said, what's the, how can we make this happen in an affordable way? And he came up with a plan that was really affordable, that used equipment that was not out of the ballpark when it came to, not these huge DJI drones, but smaller drones, and the helmets that you wear for the first-person view also became, not as expensive nearly as I thought it would be, and it was in price range. So the goal, really, from there is, for me, is to make STEAM a mainstream integrated part of school sports. I talked with IHSA, I talked with some of the local sports, high school sports and stuff, about what it would take for us to build and get basically governed by the IHSA, and we need about 75 schools that are doing drone racing before we really can be recognized by the state as an official, like, high school or junior high elementary sport. So that's kind of where all that came, and where all this started to happen. So it's it is right now extremely exciting, and I'm going to try to find my Hangout window. Oh, I hate that. Sorry about that, guys. But what I want to do next is kind of talk to you about the equipment that we use. And Greg, you can definitely jump in here, but it's not what you think. It's not these big DJI drones. We have to do this indoors. Which is also something that I didn't think about, because when we were doing this at Maker Faire, it was all outdoors. But we have to do it indoors because basically now it's fall to spring and everything is cold, and we don't want to have kids outside. So we needed to find a drone that was worthy of being indoors. And so this is the Inductrix drone, and it's very light, has a camera on it. It has a little antenna, which also connects to a little television screen. And so this is really what became the exciting. This is where it started to become accessible, because these little deals are not super expensive, and we're using the Blade transmitter and little TV screen, the Spectrum screen that connects to this, so that kids can watch their screen and do this from the first-person view. So they don't get the helmet, which honestly for smaller kids it's okay, because the helmet can be a little bit cumbersome. Some of our kids have decided to purchase the more expensive helmets, or first-person view cameras, but that's kind of on their own. But basically, this is it. When it comes to technology, we have the little screen with the transmitter and our drone, and as a school, we did a little bit more on our side. We purchased extra batteries, so you get these tiny little LiPo batteries. Purchased a little LiPo charger. This, so as the team, this is like a team cost, and this was a little extra thing. But I did find somebody gave me a tip on charging, because when you get your drone kit, you get one of these eFlight chargers, and then if you get like a whole, I guess at Best Buy you can get a strip of USB plug and charge these en masse all at once, because each kid gets one of these USB chargers, and when they all bring them together, you can have them charge those. So a little bit of that, and we'll go over the costs and stuff here in just a sec. But this is it. This is a drone, and you can crash it indoors. You can bang it against walls. You're not gonna have even I got hit in the head and it didn't hurt. So it's an accessible indoor drone. Plus, we do ours in the gym. You could technically make a drone course out of your hallways, and you can get creative there with your drone course. So let me go back to my little slideshow here in a minute, and I see, yay, Steams, there we go. That if I can find my slideshow, there we go. All right, going forward. So let me talk a little bit about the costs and the breakdowns, and I got to share my screen again real quick here, and hopefully I can do it in a nice way. Okay, so costs. All right. So in this presentation, and I'll share this in the group as well, there is a couple of price sheets and cost breakdowns. I'll click on both of those links so you have a better idea. This is the Inductrix, right, as I said, and this is sold through resellers, and we're using a reseller as well. But basically, the entire kit, and Greg, you can always jump in if you have something to say about this, but the entire kit itself is $150, and that includes the transmitter, the headset, the drone, just about everything that you need, that one kit needs, and that is what this line item is right up here. And if you just buy the drone by itself, it'd be $80. But ready to fly FPV, that's ready to fly RTF FPV, is $150 with the everything you just saw, everything I just showed is right there. But you want to, as a school, you want to buy some extra frames, because your kids are going to break them, and they're not super expensive, but a couple, handful of extra frames and props. This is, if you want to get a little bit more exciting, you can start buying some of the DX controllers, which are much more expensive, but are a little more, give you a little more control, perhaps. Plus, you can use the DXE controllers in anything. In other drones, they connect to many other drones. And then I also did buy the Spectrum monitor. I didn't buy the Spectrum monitor headset. No, I say that, I take that back. But there is another headset you can buy that's the monitor headset. And then what I did is I got just the FPV monitor with sunshade, which is right here. I'll stop my screen share for just a sec. But this is the monitor with sunshade so that you can view other kids' drones and flights from a spectator position. So it's basically the same screen that the kids have with a little shade and an extra antenna, a little bit larger antenna. So that's basically the extra costs that we incurred while on top of the costs for the drones. But I would say this just about while you're thinking about how you're going to afford this. Talking with other educators, there are some who's already said that they are looking for grants, and I will tell you right now, and I will, if you are a member of ICE, and if you are looking for a way to maybe fund your STEAM project, I would highly recommend you go to iceberg.org and look for their mini grants. Right now, their mini grants page is they're accepting grants for the foreseeable future until I think they're. I have to double check. I don't have the date on that. But there are guidelines. Check it out. I think it's like October 30th. I want to say something like that. If you go to their page, but they are accepting applications for mini grants so that you can get money for your drone needs. But of course, you can do. You can always do. Technically, what we did. Now, to have a team, you only need a few kids, right? You really only need about 5-6 kids at the least, maybe four at the least. But you can have less than that, I suppose. But we've passed that cost on to the parents and basically allowed the kids or the parents to pay it over a number of months. So it's like a band instrument, so to speak, where you purchase a band instrument, you get your drone kit, and then for the next 5 months you're spending $20 or $30, I should say, to pay off your drone. But it's yours. It's for the kids. They get to take it home. They get to practice. It's their equipment. So that's the nice thing. It's also can kind of work as a Christmas present, I guess. But we have passed that off onto kids. I know that that's not possible for everyone, but you can certainly lessen the cost by going to, you're doing a GoFundMe type of thing. I've done many of those in the past and gotten lots of smart boards and things for my class. So let us move on a little bit here. I think I finally had the screen share thing down, so that's good. But back to the equipment. So those two links, the costs and breakdowns, are in this document. If you need to look at them, you can make a copy of them, and if you need to use one, is actually an order form. So what does a drone challenge event look like? Basically, here are two links. One is a mock event link, and Greg was very helpful in helping us to put this document together. If you want to make a copy of that too, I put a link in that there as well. I'll again share that link with you in a moment. But this is kind of this is a mock event. This is what we put together, and the idea is, we're going to have this invitational, and a drone event can take place most likely on a Saturday, or I would say a Saturday is probably the most appropriate date, from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., something like that, or a 9 a.m. to 1:30. And when you build a drone course, we're talking about this not just being a race, but being a challenge. So this is where kids get a real big opportunity to add STEAM and STEM and be creative with a drone course. Because right now, you can put chairs and tables and anything in a gym space and have some cones and line up your drone course to get kids to make a course. But then one of the samples here is that it's not just a race to the finish, but kids have to go to point A, and in this case we have this example of the challenge is firefighters are battling a huge forest fire and they're in need of supplies. Challenge 1 is they have to go to point A, drop off the quote-unquote supplies, and then they fly the course, land in a designated area next to the quote-unquote firemen. Challenge 2 is they have to drop water on parts of the forest, so this might be them flying in a specific area where they have to drop their drone in 4 spots, or 3 or 4 spots, which is challenging for a flyer, especially for a racer. And then they have to continue dropping water and get back to home. It might be the challenge 3. I've had some kids come up with ideas like, can we add spheros and can we add other elements to this? And sure, you can have a lot of fun with it. Some people said, well, could one be like a story? And since you have a camera, and I'll show this for effect, but since you have a camera on the thing, what if you could fly the drone throughout the course, and there were messages hidden throughout the course. The camera had to read the message. Maybe it was on a piece of paper and on a stand, and then it told you the instructions to go to the next spot. I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe it was telling a story, but it wasn't something. It was kind of an element of surprise that you had these 5 stations, and that each kid kind of had to discover the course as it went along, fly over here and do that, and then read the next message. Kind of like I can't think of the word. It's all right. Never mind. Scavenger hunt. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. So that is definitely one of the thoughts behind the challenge format. So competition-wise, a team consists of 4 pilots. In a relay style race. So a team basically is 4 pilots, and they basically one of the team members goes around the course, comes back, the second person takes over, and third person goes, and the fourth person. So it's a team of 4 pilots competing in a relay. That involves more of your kids that way. Heat is for concurrent style. A team is flying an identical course, and then a round is a challenge where every team has completed once. I'm not going to try. I know it's a lot of reading, but basically, it made sense for me because I didn't really understand how all of this was put together. So here's a sample itinerary: 9 a.m. to 10. You register. One things you need to do is tell all your kids to go in a separate room and bind to their bind their drones to their transmitters, and then they also they get assigned a frequency. This is the part I'm still not totally up on, but Greg's very helpful in this aspect. And Greg, did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, he's still there. Good. Because this is the part where I personally got confused the first time, but you really helped me understand it. But getting the frequencies all together and all that stuff, that was each one of these monitors has a frequency. Each one of the drones transmits, the camera transmits to a specific frequency. So each racer has to be on a team frequency. So you get your pilots meeting, and your challenges begin like at 10:30, and from there on, that's when I kind of jumped down to here just for understanding this. But and go ahead and explain this part, Greg, because this makes so much more sense when you do it.
Okay, little word on frequencies. Everybody comes in, they check in, and they're given a frequency. We'd have 4 frequencies set up for the meet. If there were more than 4 teams, then multiple teams would be assigned the same frequency. So you'd put 4 teams to the line. Each team has 4 people. So we would do round 1. Each 4 people would go doing the challenge, and there would be a time associated with that. Everybody would go and complete that. So there's heats. So we could have 4 teams: Quest, Cooper, Winston, Eptisic, competing in heat 1, and that would be their frequency for the day. They would get a time for that first round, and then the next heat would go. If we had 4 more schools or multiple teams from a school, they would repeat the process, and we record that time. Now keep in mind, when people are doing these rounds, the times can vary greatly, because if you crash, blades can pop off. Somebody needs to run out, put the blade back on. Technical malfunctions, so another backup member might have to jump in and bail the other person out, and that's the whole benefit of the team. It adds a layer of complexity to the whole event. Then we do round 2. Round 2, we're adding some sort of complexity to the challenge. We saw that as an example above. Round 3, round 4, round 5. At that point, we got to figure out A, what team won, and B, what school won. So this, once again, this is just spitballing right now, but running events before, this is kind of how I would do it. Is you would take the best time from each round from multiple teams from one school. So in this example, Heat 1, Quest had Team A, and they had a second team, Team B. And in this example, round 1, they both had the same exact time, and just because I copied and duplicated.
Right.
So basically, you would add up these. For an individual team, you could perhaps drop one. In racing, it's very common to drop your lowest time because of technical issues, and it doesn't ruin your day. And then we can figure out who won. We can change and vary this based on how many people are entered. One of the hardest things in drone racing is getting the whole cycling down, getting people up to the line, ready to go, and keeping the whole chain of events moving. If you're looking like at a baseball game, it's your inning breaks, how fast you can get batters up to the mound. And that's really the essence. And once you get that procedural flow down, it works really, really good. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's really, really helpful. And that helped break it down for me. And now what it actually is doing is that system is also helping us practice as well, as my group is getting ready for the actual challenges. Interestingly enough, just little things about piloting and crashing and stuff like that. We've already experienced this during practice races, but they crash, and sometimes a blade falls off or something like that. And Greg, what happens when that happens? How is that? Their clock is still running, right?
Right, and this is what's nice about this technology versus when the big boys we fly. We can't have people run on the course because it's just simply way too dangerous. Well, in this situation, the pilot can run out, grab their drone, find their blade, step out of the racing line, put the blade right back on, put it down, run back to their position, and take off. If they should run out of battery, then, which can happen because these go, if somebody's struggling, they might run out of battery. Then they can pull off out of the line. They can change their battery if they need to. And if something technically really hard happens, they basically bow out, and then, like anything, you'd have a pinch hitter. You'd have, some pilot would go twice in that event. And these are all the things you have to practice when you're practicing, because all this stuff will happen in a real event. And it will be the difference between winners and losers. It won't be the flying that'll cause winners and losers. It'll be the team organization that will create winners and losers.
Yeah, no, and so we experienced that. We've in my group, we've only been practicing for a few weeks. We only got our drones a couple weeks ago, and last week we set up our first course. And so first of all, we had kind of like, we were pairing kids up so that one kid, but basically the rest of your team, if you have 4 people on a team, can act as the pit crew. Am I right, or are they not able to help?
They could help in whatever makes sense. I would definitely encourage it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of worked for us because we had one kid who was racing, but then if he, if he ran out of batteries, we had the pit crew run out, swap the battery, but they had to run back before he could go again. It was just one of those little like rules that we set up. But the same thing with the blade. Blade comes off, kid runs out, swaps the blade on. That's it's fun to have that kind of aspect to it actually. That became part of the fun of, oh my gosh, get out there and change that as fast as you can, and then they would come back and next racer would take over. So that will make a lot more sense once you've actually really had a chance to try it. But at least you have this mock agenda here for you to play around with and take a look at. The racing bands, that's still something that Greg is working with me on, but again, we have to really, we've been lucky in that we've kind of figured out, right now we're just turning on our screens and finding the channels, because each one of these little monitors has a frequency and a channel, and these little monitors here, and getting them to, oh sorry, but when you turn your camera on your little drone and you got to turn this thing on and then make sure that the camera is broadcasting to the right frequency, it's not always doing that, so it's something you have to set up in the beginning. All right, so next up, how are we doing on time? Not too bad. Let me go ahead and take the next step here. All right, and here we are. So we've got that. I just checking to see if we had any questions. We don't have any questions in the chat, but Charlene is being very chatty, so thank you, Charlene. And Greg was there. All right, so we had a mock event, and again, if you need to make a copy of that, just go ahead and click on that link. But the next big deal is for us to try to create a schedule. Charlene had a great idea to create a clinic, to maybe just get everyone together, and I think we're getting to that point where it would be nice to have a clinic. In this document here, I have an event, kind of a mock event schedule, which actually it's not a mock schedule, it's a real schedule, but it basically, we're going to put it out to the group for those of you who are ready to say, you know what, we can host an event, because really, this drone challenge thing is great, but if we don't have anybody hosting events, we're not going to get to know your kids. Your kids aren't going to get over to race, and we don't want to just race ourselves. We want to grow this sport. We want to grow and reach this out to as many people as possible. So I'll put this in. Again, these are all in the documents. But if you want to host an event, whether it's a clinic or you want to look ahead into November and then maybe a Saturday in December or January, and invite other schools, let's start thinking about that. That may be a little bit down the road for you, but it will. I'm probably going to put something in our schedule in a couple days, and I'll put that out to the group to just get everyone together and have some fun flying and try a course and have some chaotic fun together. So really, if there aren't a lot of, there's not a lot of people in the chat, although there are a number of viewers. Laura Whitman. Wait, there we go. Question. I don't know what November 1st means, Lori, but I'm just checking. But you can make your own blades. 3D printer, believe it or not, Charlene had a good question. Can you make your own blades on a 3D printer? I have tried this very many times with children, and unless it's like super high resolution on a 3D printer, that's not something I would recommend the 3D printer for. However, yes, what is the mini grant deadline? But however, what we have done, if you want to get hacky with this, we have we've spent the last year using the 3D printer to print frames. So you really want to know what that mini grant deadline is, don't you? Let me. So Yes. What are the? And I've got that there. I'm looking. I'm looking it up. But so last year we spent a handful of time 3D printing frames, getting our motors, finding our blades, and we used the Hubsan motors and the Hubsan. Oh, November 1st. Ah, gotcha. Thank you. Perfect. Um, and we learned a lot because with the Hubsan flight controller and the chip, we had to do some soldering. We had some stuff to do. We also learned a lot by 3D printing our frames because they are heavy, believe it or not. That filament is heavy, and the blade inductrix frame is super light. So one of the things we kept doing is reprinting our frames to be lighter and lighter and lighter and thinner, and eventually we got something that could fly. But one of the benefits of that inductrix drone is it's super light. Like, you can't even feel it in your hand. So that is a good question. But yes, that's very much a good question about that. But yeah, there is a whole window. Once you get the kit, there's a whole window of opportunity for Steam, really, because they're going to break, and your kids are eventually going to be like, you know what, I want it to go faster, and I want the battery to hold the charge longer. And so that starts getting into these Steam questions about, well, how can we make that happen? And that's really where the whole Steam part gets interesting. One of the I don't know if I have it with me today, but I do. I built a drone when I first started this. I hacked it all together with parts from the web, and this is the inductrix, but the motors that came with it were not strong enough. I mean, you can upgrade them, so I got upgrades to these motors. So there was some upgrading involved. The camera here had to be soldered onto the board, and this is a little more. And you can see that there are some homemade inductrix like this, but it does give you the opportunity and for saying, well, maybe we can swap out these motors. Maybe we can make it lighter somehow, because I know that there's some that'll help save battery. So you need to kind of bring it up with your kids and start asking, how can we do this? How can we make it lighter? How can we make it faster? And start working on those kind of ideas, because you're going to come up with you're going to get some really good ones from your guys. So any other questions while I'm trolling around here before I go? Okay. From scratch is cool too. This one I did find when I did this inductrix, or this I guess it's a tiny whoop or whatever, that to make it lighter, we removed the case and we did a lot. So anyway, I know I'm getting close to our ending time, which was 5:45, but I just want to throw this up there so you guys have all the resources you need. Let me go ahead and give you this one more time. But the big deal right now is going to back here. Facebook group, okay? I gave you that slide in the beginning. I'll go back right now and do that. But tinyurl.com/drone teams. Join the Facebook group. Add your friends. It's really going to be helpful. Add your colleagues who are STEAM teachers, and because all we need is a handful of teams to get going on this. We just need a few people to start. I mean, if it's me and our group guys going against just a couple of schools, that's fine. But this is something that involves STEAM and sports, and I think it's got a great future. The other thing too is that Greg will be at Ed Camp Chicago this Saturday. I will not be, but if you want to go and try a demo and see everything working and have fun with some drones, he will be there. So you can go to edcampchicago.com and get your tickets for EdCamp Chicago. It's in Huntley, Illinois. But then also think ahead in December, because EdCamp Lake County is happening as well, where we're planning on doing another drone demo as well, drone racing demo, so you can get hands-on with all the equipment and see what it's all like, because it's really accessible. That's the thing I want you to remember, is that it's not out of reach. I think a lot of people still think, oh, drones, well, when I'm not spending $1,000 a kid, but it's not nearly that. It's very accessible. So I'm going to say thank you, and if you have any other questions, that's a good question. I didn't put my details on there, did I? But I am DREZAC on Twitter, DREZAC. But just go to the Facebook group. That's the big deal. If you have questions, and we will all your answers, all your questions will be answered in the group there. So last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to check to see if any of you have any more questions. We're in touch. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Lori. If you have any more questions, we'll catch you on Facebook. All right. Thank you, my friends. Bye-bye.